I have this book called Watercolor for Beginners, and it is so diabolical that I just knew I had to share it with you guys here because you would appreciate it. Nobody in my household cares. Let's have a flick through, and then I'm going to tell you about a book that I actually think is great for beginners. All right, let's flip the camera around and have a look. So this is a vintage book, so suffice it to say it won't be haunting us in our bookstore as of late, but this is, I think, from the 90s. Let's see. Yeah, copyright 1999, and I think it's a translation from, I want to say, German. But the thing that really cracks me up the most about this, it's watercolor for beginners. Okay. Very quickly, though, I noticed as I was working my way through it, I mean, this is all good info, right? Pretty quickly, though, you get on to what I'm going to say is techniques. As you work your way through, you'll see that it's getting more and more advanced, dare I say it. When you're like midway through the book, you're starting really not to be in the beginner zone anymore. And then, shockingly, there's figure sketches. You're gonna watercolor actual people? Like, I cannot believe that this was marketed to a beginner. This is not even at the end of the book. This isn't like the last stage and the most difficult thing you could paint, although I think it's the most difficult thing you could paint. It gets more difficult from there. I mean, can you imagine trying to market this as a beginner's book today? Now, is this just the title? Is it that they thought that we were much smarter back then, or beginner meant a lot more, or that there weren't as many watercolor beginners? Like, I shouldn't be laughing so hard, but I mean, there are some studies here about how you can do a Toulouse-Lautrec here. This is so advanced. Right, so, you know, paint like a master by the end of the book. I shouldn't be laughing because you know what? I think that culture right now is so dumbed down that this doesn't insult our intelligence. You know, you would buy this and there's a lot to work through, but I just cannot imagine how this is for a beginner. It is diabolically difficult. I have not advanced to even beyond, I think, just some of the midpoint paintings here. And I've had this for a good while now. I didn't buy this. I don't even think it's in print anymore, to be honest. But a friend of mine, we love thrifting together, and she picked it up for me. And of course, you know, she's not a watercolorist, so it's not as if she'd be like judging the contents. I'm just saying, I cannot believe in the year 1999 anybody thought this was appropriate for a complete beginner. Now, I have done a couple things out of here, and I'm trying to remember what they are. And it was good. Yeah, okay, I did this. So let me show you how mine turned out. This, by the way, is my Strathmore watercolor journal. And it is roughly the same size. Actually, the pages are kind of roughly the same size as this. So it was a good size to make studies with out of this book. So, you know, I did follow the steps and they actually weren't bad. I don't know where you might get a copy of this. I mean, maybe if you were really, really into the idea and you wanted to search through, I guess, vintage sites, vintage sources, you might be able to find it if you're really into it. Again, it's called Watercolors, not Watercolor, sorry, that's what I was saying. Watercolors for Beginners by Koneman. Oh, you know, perhaps it was actually translated from the Spanish because this is a Spanish name. Helen in editing here, I've since discovered by looking more closely at it that it was marketed as Acuarela, which just means watercolors in Spanish. Not sure if that makes a huge difference, but it was a more generic term. Okay, it does say translation from Spanish. So I guess originally this was a Spanish book for, oh gosh, I don't know, art school? Like, it's almost like a textbook at this level. So anyway, I did do this vase. I did follow the directions, and I actually think it turned out, well, highly imperfect, but suitable for a more advanced beginner. So okay, maybe there's something there to that. Then I think I did this one from in here as well. I'm pretty sure I did not invent that. It's been a while now, so let me see. Was it on another page? Yeah, so they give you some really nice step-by-steps for the blue and white vase. I mean, I shouldn't be chuckling. It's quite a beautiful project. Oh, I've done this onion. That was nice. Do you know that with newer books, you can actually flip through page by page? It's a copyright infringement. This is a vintage book though, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Pretty sure I got that from in here. Yeah, I did find the sketch in the end. It's actually from a reference photo, and I didn't remember that. there's the reference photo, and there's a section teaching you how to work from still life, which is actually pretty useful as a beginner. But this was not like, these are things that I think that were more advanced than any of the 3 watercolor classes I took. Just the amount of shading, understanding like color theory was beyond what I was taught, and I took 3 different classes over the last year. This was a lot of fun to make, actually. I think I even have a little bit of footage of me sketching this in this Strathmore, which by the way is a pretty decent large watercolor journal if you want a really large one. The paper can hold a lot of water. I've just always found it a bit unwieldy though because it's just so big. But I had fun in this book, but it is not like for beginners. I was already 1 year into watercolor by the time I was able to tackle something like this. So I have another vintage one that my friend picked me up. She picked me up too, which is so sweet of her. I don't want to take away from her amazing skills at digging out these wonderful watercolor books for me. Like, how thoughtful of a gift. She also got me this one, and this one was fun too. I don't think I made anything in the Strathmore, but even though this doesn't say the word beginner anywhere in it, I just found the themes to be more beginner friendly. Another great vintage book. Like, you can pick these up for pretty good prices when you go thrifting, if that's your thing. And how fun. I love old books like this. They make great reference. This is another one from the 90s. First published in the UK in 1997. It's been reprinted 3 times in 98 and 99, so it must have been pretty popular. It's by Anne Ellsworth, and it is called Watercolor Workbook, a complete course in 10 lessons. So I guess we'd love to hear that. Very heavy on the florals and the flowers, this one. Very stylized. I don't know this artist, but I feel like this could only be her work. It's really got, there she is. It's just really got that voice, that style that would be unique to her. Oh, fun little animals. I mean, if you are interested in these, I will put the title down below in the description. I just honestly don't know what your realistic chances would be of finding this, being that they're from the 90s. I did a study of this and it turned out so pretty. I actually have it hanging up because I like it so much. It's so simple. Like, look at the vase. The vase is just a few strokes, right? 3 strokes. I love that there's the warm red or the more neutral red and then the pink. These look so good together. And then this lesson was all about blending colors, so you learn how to make your purples. So there's like a lot of color theory in here, right? You're making your own greens by using the cobalt blue and the Windsor lemon. Wow. It just looks so cute. I'll show you my version. I'll insert something up here. This one's hanging in my dining room. There's a bit of color theory. There's like some still life stuff, a different way to paint, vegetables, plenty of good stuff, but I would say not as varied. It seems to be landscapes, just natural themes, you know, landscapes, flowers. Again, with the heavy signature of the artist, and why shouldn't there be? There's something here for urban sketchers. I won't go through all the pages, but you get the gist. So I like this one. I really like this one. And I do like this one too. I think this should be watercolor for beginner to advanced, not just for beginners. That was the wrong name for it. And it just makes me laugh because if you pick this up, you will be so intimidated. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this book down below in the comments. It's lovely, and my goodness, is it ever in perfect condition? But if you're an absolute beginner, don't you think this is too hard? I do. I think that this was much more of a good contender, but these are old now, so I'm sure they're both out of print. Let's close this up though and move on to what I want to tell you about that I think you'll like. If you are an absolute beginner, this is a great book. Another one of my friends, Jennifer from the YouTube channel at Khaki and Bloom, and I know I mention her all the time, but you know, we are in this art obsession together, let's call it that. She does watercolor tutorials on her channel, so give her a check out. She bought this for me when we were both beginning, you know, 1.5 years ago now. and I just wanted to show it to you. It's by Sarah Simon. It's definitely still in print. I will put a link down below. Please support your local bookstore if you can. If you really need or want to buy on Amazon, I'll put a link to it below. Okay, watercolor workbook. Again, I will not be able to show you every single page, but I'll show you the highlights. 30-minute beginner botanical projects on premium watercolor paper. So you can't get this from the library. I mean, you can. But the idea is you're supposed to paint on it. You learn how to mix up shades, and then the drawing is there for you already. I'm sure there'll be one in here that I have not done. Yep, here we go. And let's back out a little bit. And I know we've got a lot of sunshine and shade going on, so bear with me. But this is what it looks like. Look at all the different colors you learn how to mix. And what I still am using this for, because, you know, I have not done every project in here, and you don't have to, but what I still love to use sometimes is these color recipes. It tells you exactly how to make certain colors. Say I want to make, what's a good one? A dusky pink or a seashell, right? They've got the exact recipe here. Let's zoom in a little bit and look. Right, so can you see that? The seashell, there's a burnt rose. So for the seashell, you would need 70% white, 20% yellow ochre, 10% alizarin crimson. If you want to make burnt rose, you're using 35% burnt sienna, 60% alizarin crimson, 5% ivory black. When you're beginning to watercolor, you do sometimes just feel like you're guessing at these to make different colors. But if you go through all of these and you make your own little swatches, I've swatched every single one of these, but these are blank when you first get it, you do learn a lot about color theory very quickly. You do learn very quickly that, you know, you need to get some yellow in there if you're blending in some white and some crimson, if you want to have this kind of blush tone, for example, or you name it. I mean, I really love those tones, but then there's all these deeper colors that are so cool. It's great to just buy watercolor already made, but as a beginner, you get so much value out of learning how to mix color, which is a joyous process itself as well. I still refer to this once in a while when I'm not, you know, I'm not feeling inspired by the watercolors I have. I just mix something gorgeous. Or sometimes you need skin tones, and there was a little section for that too. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here we are. There's a whole bunch of recipes for skin colors, right? Light, light medium tan, deep. It just tells you what to use, and that's helpful as a reference too, because as nice as it is to go on YouTube, it's nice to also have a book that you can just quickly reference, and it takes like, you know, a minute to locate that. Lots of technique in here. It teaches you how to do wet in wet or wet on wet, blotting, boundaries, wet on dry. This is such a good beginner book. And even if you're a little bit past the absolute beginner book, it almost is at some points more like a coloring book, with the benefit of you just mixing up your own colors or just using the ones you have straight from the pen, just to turn off your brain a bit and color things in. So, you know, this is for me a really easy thing for me to recommend, because I think you will enjoy it. It's got so much going for it. So once again, Watercolor Workbook by Sarah Simon. All right, I hope you got a kick out of that. When I was flicking through that book again the other day that I've had in my collection for a while, I was like, I have to tell people about this. Watercolor YouTube's gonna get a real kick out of this. And then I hope that the watercolor workbook that we just looked at is maybe helpful if you're a beginner, or maybe you just like collecting books, or you just wanna have a little bit of playtime. It's nice to buy a real book, right, in this digital age. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video.